Funded by the wonderful people of Tipperary County Council, we have a new module for Drupal. This is a public consultations module. What this does is it gives us a content type called public consultations. So you give the consultation a title, New Skate Park for Town, a start date and an end date. So this public consultation starts on the 12th of October at 3 p.m. and closes on the 28th of October at 2 p.m. And some information about the public consultation itself. So the council proposes to create a new skating park for the youth of our town. The park's going to have whatever these things are, and further to that we plan on something else. And now the council invites you to give your opinion about this proposal using the form below. So we've got a form down here. When the form gets filled out then, the information in the form will be available back to the public to view who has made a submission about this public consultation and what have they said. So let's have a look at what these submissions might look like. So here's the first submission that came in for this form. It says, this submission is currently under review to make it ready for public display. So once a form is submitted, it doesn't become public straight away. It goes into the back end, into the database, and the editors of your website then will decide, is the information in this form okay to make public? Or do we need to maybe redact some of it? So let's have a look at a second submission here. So we were deciding on this form, every person's name we're going to redact it. So that will be a default within this form itself. And everyone's email address is going to be redacted. And then the feedback that this person gave when they made a submission was, I am against this idea. It will bring lots of kids to the area and then that will cause a nuisance. I saw, and somebody, I'm not sure who he saw, taking drugs in that area last week. Let's see if we have another public consultation submission. We do. So this one here has lots of different redactions. So again, the name and email are automatically redacted out because of the form settings. You can set these on a per form basis. And the feedback is, I think there are benefits and drawbacks to the idea. I think it would be good for kids like, I don't know, someone's family mentioned here, who already have a lot of social capital, but bad for kids like, I guess, some other family here who are already underprivileged. If you want to phone me about this, my number is, and the person's phone number is redacted. So this idea is that people from the public can make submissions. The editor of the website can validate the submissions and make sure there's no libel or anything like that in any of the submissions, and then make those submissions available on the website. But at all times, we will know how many submissions had been made, because we can see that, you know, some of the submissions haven't been available for public view yet, but we know there was a submission in there. If we're looking at the back end of this then, and we looked at new skate park for the town and come to the web form for that, well, we can have a look at, let's see, what are the results. And we saw that the first person who submitted this was, the name is Mark Conroy, and the email address is mark@mark.ie. These were redacted. And we can click on edit, and then you can decide this one is ready for public display. Click save. Now we'll come back to our public consultation and refresh the page. So here we go. So my name has been redacted, my email address has been redacted, and the statement that I made about this idea has no redactions because it just says, I think this is a good idea. Let's have a look at how we actually do all this. We have a default installation here of LocalGov Drupal, nothing installed except LocalGov Drupal core. So you can see just service pages and things like that. Let's click on our Extend tab and we'll find our public consultations module. So we've got two modules here. One is the public consultations module itself, and then I added in this one here just as a kind of it creates a couple of nodes, and it adds some dummy web forms as well. Just it's handy for me when I'm developing the module or for testing things. So I'll enable that for now. This is going to go off now and install the web form module and the web form UI modules. We have a quick look here. Let's see if there's anything interesting in this. Well, what we can see is that this public consultation here is closed. So if we click on that, we can see then it gets a marker around the end date saying, and a black, some black mark here to say that this is closed. If we look at one that's closing soon, so this one here closes in 1 week, we'll see there's a red notification say that this is ending soon. And then if we look at anything that's not closing in the near future, well then it doesn't get any notification. So some of those kinds of things we can configure. So if we come to configuration and look at public consultation settings, we can say that show the ending soon if it's ending within 7 days by default. So you could change that to maybe 14 days or whatever you want yourself. The ending soon text, instead of saying ending soon, you might want the words closing soon or something. Instead of the word closed, you might want maybe expired. Add redacted text. So we probably don't want people to know exactly how many characters are in anything that was redacted, because then they could start guessing at what the redaction was. So we've put in a couple of blocks of characters followed by the word redacted inside square brackets. Again, change that to something if you would prefer it, maybe just the word redacted on its own or something like that. And then the under review text. So we saw this when a submission has been made, but it has not been moderated yet to be published. So what text do you want to display for that? We've got a content type here called public consultation. If we were to add a public consultation, it's very simple. Give it the name of consultation. So building a skate park in the town. When is it opening? And when is it closing? Some details about it. And then what web form do you want to attach to this public consultation? So you create a web form per public consultation. So that's all relatively simple. Let's have a look at the web forms themselves then. Earlier I created a number of web forms already. These are just for myself that are handy for testing. But what we want to look at when we're creating a web form for public consultations is we click here on the build tab. The first thing you got to do is, because we need to make web forms available to anonymous users, but we don't want all the web forms available to anonymous users. So I've added a new setting under the settings tab. If you scroll down to the bottom, called, is this a public consultation web form? And it's this checkbox then that kind of does the magic in the background for different access settings. So if we click, yes, this is a public consultation web form, you can see we got a note here then as well. As this is a public consultation web form, you're probably going to want to grant view any submissions to anonymous users via the access settings. So that's this access tab here. So here we're going to say that anonymous users can view any submission of this web form. And we'll save that. And then on the form itself, for each individual field on the form, so here this one here is called your name. When you're editing or adding any of those fields, if the web form has been checked that this is a public consultation web form, then under the access tab here on the right hand side, you will get a new tab here, which is just 3 types of visibility settings for this field on the front end for anonymous users. So do you want to make this field visible to everybody? You would do that for maybe the response itself. Do you want to make it redacted? You'll do this for personal information, so you'll probably redact the name field and the email field and phone number field, any of this kind of person like that. Or do you want to make it hidden, that the information that goes into this field here will never be shown out to anybody on the front end? And with that being the case, you've got yourself a public consultation system. It's kind of as simple as that. Let's have a look at one of these public consultations. So I'm going to refresh that for a second and refresh this. So I'm an anonymous user here now. I'm in a private browsing window. I'm looking at this test public consultation, open and closes in 2 weeks. My name is Mark Conroy. My email address will say mark@mark.ie, and my feedback: I like this, but I do not like Mark Conroy, let's say. Now I'm going to submit this form here. Now if I look at the submissions for this, oh, actually, hang on, this is form number 3. I need to set this as a public consultation web form. This shows that things are working. I think it's public consultation 3. Yeah, it's got 1 submission. So let's click on the settings for this form here. And we'll say this is a public consultation form. Save it. And then in my access settings, I want to say anonymous users can view any submission. Okay, now if I come back to the public consultation submissions tab and click save, we see now this submission is currently under review to make it ready for public display. Okay, so it's not ready just yet. So somebody has submitted it. Let's have a look at our results. We've got 1 submission here by Mark Conroy, mark@mark.ie. I like this, but I do not like Mark Conroy. Okay, let's edit this one here. Now, if I said straight out, this is ready for public display, what's going to happen? Well, it will be available for everybody to read. Now, we probably don't want these fields here. You know, personal information is not good to be sharing with everybody. So first name, our name and email address, and even all of this, whatever. I like the idea, but I do not like, we shouldn't be naming people in our public consultations. So let's have a look if we can maybe edit some of this. So on the build tab for the your name field, since this is now a public consultation, we'll have our new tab under access. And let's say that this is going to be a redacted field. And the email address, we'll say that's also going to be redacted, because we want right across the web form anyone whose name or email address is being submitted. We don't want them made available to the public. We just might want to get back to them ourselves with the information they're providing. And your feedback, that field is going to be a visible field. So we do want people to be able to see the information in that field. Okay, let's refresh this and see what happens now. Okay, so now your name and your email address are both redacted. But look at this. I like this, but I do not like Mark Conroy. So we want to get this part here out. So we come back to our web form. We're looking at our results. This is why we want to make sure that the results are verified before we publish them. So if I edit this result and I see I like this, but I do not like Mark Conroy, we can put in angle bracket PC redacted and close that, and the same close PC hyphen redacted. And anywhere we put this, we'll see that that piece of content is redacted on the front end. And if we inspect the element here, we'll see that the HTML never gets to it. This is all done server side, not client side. And that's it, really. How to make a public consultation web form. So again, we come web forms, add a web form, public consultation, and save it. And then in your settings, say that it is a public consultation web form. And then in your access, allow anonymous users. And then when you're building the form, any particular field that you add to it, once those settings have been set, you can then click on the access tab and say that this field is visible, redacted, or hidden. When you've got that much done, you can add a public consultation node, give it a name, start date, end date, the details, and select what web form you want to attach to this public consultation. So in this case here, it's the one that we created just a second ago. And you are then done and dusted with a public consultation system. Thanks so much to Tipperary County Council for funding this.